Three, two, one, here we go. Rainman's Take podcast. Observations on the world we live in. My take on current events and other topics of interest. Also, interviews with some really cool people. So let's get the conversation going. With another episode for you. My take on what we recently watched during the Apec summit up in San Francisco. But before I get into that, let me say a quick thank you to all of you who are part of the Rainman's Take community. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. If you're new to the program, welcome. I know you're going to love the content. So why don't you go ahead and hit that subscribe button, which you're going to find at the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. And also watch this video to the end. That way it'll help me with the YouTube algorithm. We can get this out to more people and continue the conversation. So with that being said, again, my take on the current state of affairs in San Francisco, highlighted by the most recent Asian Pacific Economic Cooperation, or the APEC Summit. So let me first start by saying I have friends in San Francisco that when I read an article about the condition of the city, I send it to them to see how accurate that article is. Their general response is something along the lines of, it's not good, but it's a great city and it will rebound. Now, the current conditions there remind me of what New York City must have been like in the 70s and the 80s. It'll take 2 decades to rebound like it did in Manhattan. And by the way, in New York, it took a law and order conservative mayor like Rudy Giuliani to turn Manhattan around from 1994 to 2001. But unfortunately, recent progressive Democrat policies have started to reverse that progress, as seen with the Bill de Blasio and the current Adams administration in Manhattan. Now, maybe this is all just the natural economic cycle of great cities, and San Francisco is just in a downturn. However, it is so frustrating to watch because something could have been done, in my view. Something could have been done to prevent such urban blight, but the current leftist policies in place will not allow that. I agree with my friend. San Francisco is beautiful. Union Square and the Pier are some of the coolest areas around, but certainly not right now. I think it's going to take a long time to bring those areas back. Now, prior to Xi Jinping's arrival in San Francisco on the 14th of November, the city spent several days removing the homeless camps in the Tenderloin district and along several intersections of Xi's motorcade route, which took his delegation to the Mascone Center, where many of the summit meetings were being held. So let me just read an article real quick. I had found this regarding what's going on in San Francisco. This was from August 30th of this year. It was found on CNN by Samantha Deloya. The article's titled, "It's Not Just Crime. What's Really Going On with San Francisco's Shrinking Retail District." In many ways, San Francisco's downtown is in dire straits. The city's Union Square neighborhood, once bustling with shoppers, diners, and tourists, has suffered from declining foot traffic and shuttered storefronts. Stores in the area now have papered over windows and retail for lease signs, according to Google Street View, which was last updated in June of this year. While in-person activities in many major cities in the United States have rebounded since the start of the COVID pandemic, San Francisco's recovery has been strained. The downturn of the city's Union Square is a microcosm of that struggle. Now, according to data provided to CNN by market research firm CoreSite, nearly 40 retail stores have closed in Union Square zip code since 2020, while dozens more have closed in the surrounding areas. Shopping mall operator Westfield gave up control of its San Francisco Center Mall in June. The company said its decision was due to challenging operating conditions in the downtown area. In May, a Westfield Mall spokesman told CNN affiliate that store closures underscore the deteriorating situation in downtown San Francisco. The reason for downtown San Francisco's economic troubles are multifaceted. The city's working population has yet to return to the office at the same levels as other major cities, adding to a decline in foot traffic downtown. In addition, San Francisco's downtown has experienced a rise in its unhoused population. 30% of the nation's homeless population live in California, and most attribute their situation to the high cost of housing in the state. As San Francisco's downtown area has emptied over the last 3 years, property crimes and retail thefts have risen, according to the San Francisco Police Department data. Elon Musk, CEO of Tesla, whose corporate headquarters used to be in the nearby Palo Alto area, said in a recent tweet that San Francisco felt post-apocalyptic. Okay, so as for that last sentence, I don't believe tourism is coming back until people can enjoy walking in the streets and they feel safe. The scenes coming out of the streets of San Francisco right now are nowhere near that. Now, my question is, how and why did they clear out some of the homeless population now? After all, this has been a serious problem for a while. Now, I won't rehash San Francisco's issues with homelessness. You all know them, the public drug use, human feces on the sidewalks, all of that stuff. All I will say is it took the recently concluded Apec summit as motivation and about a week to clear the homeless out of those areas where the summit meetings took place. Now, if, as the mayor says, this program has been in the works for years, why did they wait to do it now before China arrived? Now, if I was a resident of San Francisco, having watched many of the most popular tourist spots in the city implode due to homelessness and crime, I would be angry. Now, according to a Bloomberg interview from November 13th, Mayor London Breed was discussing the upcoming APEC summit. And I'll just read to you a little bit of the transcript of that interview. And this was from Breitbart, and the title of the article was San Francisco Mayor Breed, Homeless Cleanup, Not an Issue We've Been Sitting Around Waiting to Solve. And again, this interview was with Bloomberg, and it was from the 13th of November. San Francisco Mayor London Breed said Monday on Bloomberg's Technology that her city has constantly been cleaning streets and helping the homeless get shelter while discussing preparing for the APEC summit of President Joe Biden and China's Xi Jinping. Host Ed Ludlow said, "Why has it taken the visit of the U.S. President Biden, China's President Xi, leaders from around the world for action on all of the problems the city has been talking about for 4 years now?" Mayor Breed said, "Just to be clear, we have been working on this for a few years. This is not an issue that we've been sitting around waiting to solve. It is something San Francisco continues to work on. Since I've been mayor, since 2018, we've helped over 10,000 people exit homelessness. We have seen a reduction when other cities have seen an increase. This is a problem we continuously work on. This year, we got additional resources from the state and federal government that has made a tremendous difference around the challenges that we are dealing with." Now, okay, I personally don't believe it. It sounds good, but those policies are not doing enough. And at last check, there were still something like 3,500 homeless people still occupying downtown San Francisco right now. Now, I have friends who have been to Portland, Oregon, and say it is disgusting in the downtown area. In San Francisco, it's even a bigger problem. Until that image changes, until law and order are brought back, I don't see San Francisco's fortunes changing anytime soon. Now, as an aside, and I won't go into the trajectory of China as a rising superpower and their influence over American businesses, because that's well known and I've discussed that in the past. But I've had friends of mine who were on the ground this past week for the summit say that the motorcade route was all red Chinese flags and only portions had alternating American and Chinese flags. The route looked like Xi Jinping was in a state parade in Beijing. In my view, the city, the state, and the Biden administration bent over backwards to appease Xi. My take is it shows weakness at best and at worst a complete subordination to China. Not to mention the dozens of business leaders who lined up to have dinner with Xi after the summit was over. Now, I'm all for making dignitaries from other countries feel welcome, but they need to understand that they are welcome guests in our country. Okay, so back to the homeless issue. Where did they put those homeless people? And what did they do with all the stuff that those people had? The biggest question in my mind is how long before they move back in? Without permanent solutions, you know that's exactly what's going to happen. Those places will just be filled again with homeless tent camps. And I've got another article here. I just want to read a snippet for you regarding that particular situation. This is an article that I found from Yahoo News from November 10th. And the title of the article is, "They're Clearing Out the Homeless People. San Francisco Gets Ready for the Arrival of World Leaders." And this is from Queenie Wong, again, November 10th. Fresh paint, street cleanings, homeless sweeps, colorful art. Workers like Jacobs are beautifying the city days before politicians, executives, and journalists from around the world descend on San Francisco for the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Conference. From Saturday to November 17th, the international event is expected to bring more than 20,000 people to the city and attract thousands of protesters. The global spotlight will shine on a city filled with stark contrasts, home of billion-dollar tech companies and streets lined with homeless encampments. Blocks away from the Mascone Center, where the summit's main events will be held, Christy Palominos sorted through her belongings. Palominos is a homeless individual that lives on the streets down by that center. Palominos, 47, didn't know world leaders would be in town, but she said one of her homeless friends had been asked by the same police officer to move multiple times. They're clearing out the homeless people because they don't want them to see this, she said. Jennifer Friedenbach, executive director of the Coalition for Homelessness, said her organization has been hearing about more homeless encampment sweeps ahead of the international conference. With shelters seeing spaces already filling up or limited openings, Friedenbach said it's really frustrating because the city is just displacing groups of homeless people when they're being moved around. Instead, advocacy groups were hoping for more temporary housing for the homeless during this conference. Again, according to this woman, they want to clean up the city's image and use this conference as a way to draw back tourism, she said. However, these efforts never work because folks don't have disappearing power. People are out there because there's not enough housing. There's just not enough shelter for all these people. There aren't enough solutions, but the leaders say that they're trying. What do you think? Personally, I don't buy it. Now, a friend of mine in San Diego who recently ran for mayor of Encinitas also runs the Encinitas Watchdog group tracking homelessness and crime. And he has a decidedly different view on the situation. He was homeless when he was younger and has a realistic plan to go a long way towards solving the homelessness crisis, not only here in San Diego, but all over the place. However, nobody in power wants to listen. And by the way, the levers of power in both San Francisco and the little town of Encinitas are dominated by leftist progressive Democrats. The problem, according to my friend, is there are millions of dollars of state and federal government funding being thrown at the homeless problem, and the system is ripe with corruption and abuse. Now, basically, what that's telling me is there are too many people out there making too much money, so why even fix the problem? So I don't believe the politicians, especially the ones in San Francisco and Sacramento, when they say they are doing everything they can to try to solve this crisis. And again, let me just touch on another part of the article that I was just referencing here. And this one again is from Yahoo News. And I quote here from the article. Governor Gavin Newsom, who met China's president last month, said before a big event like the Apec summit, everything's got to get dialed up, just like when people clean up their house before they have visitors. This place is beloved and its best days are in front of it and not behind it, he said. And all those doomsayers, all those negative folks, you know what? They haven't offered anything. Honestly, I completely disagree with that. That is taken from a person who is in charge of a supermajority Democrat-controlled political apparatus from Sacramento down through San Francisco. They are not listening to other people and what their potential solutions might be. So him saying that, I don't buy that one bit. Still, business closings, also have heightened fears about the future of downtown San Francisco. Major retailers, including Nordstrom, T-Mobile, Whole Foods, and Anthropologie, have left amid concerns about less foot traffic, sluggish sales, and safety. San Francisco Mayor Breed said in a press conference Thursday that the tattered urban images people see on social media about San Francisco capture a snapshot in time in certain neighborhoods, ignoring the rest of the picturesque city. I see a lot of beauty all over San Francisco, she said. My hope is that people will have the opportunity to experience San Francisco for themselves and tell the whole story. Okay, homelessness and crime, which is the natural byproduct of homelessness, is a result of poor progressive policies. We had a saying in the military, you can polish a turd, but at the end of the day, it's still a turd. And I think that is exactly what is going on in San Francisco. And that to me is what they're doing up there. The fundamental issues need to be addressed, but the current administration in San Francisco and in large part Sacramento and Governor Gavin Newsom are not going to change. If the homeless are allowed to come back, it will just show me that the leadership of San Francisco is not serious about the homeless crisis in the city or its residents. It will show me that they only cared about the image of the city in the eyes of influential world leaders like Xi Jinping. They bent over backwards to promote a make-believe version of downtown San Francisco. And again, if I was a resident there, I would be pissed about that. Optics only, not effective governance. Now, according to that same earlier referenced CNN article, it states that the city could be in the middle of a renaissance downtown. Now, let me just read from that. Let me just read a statement from. In a statement to CNN, San Francisco Mayor London Breed's office said that while San Francisco continues to recover from very serious economic challenges exacerbated by the pandemic, Mayor Breed is encouraged by the significant progress the city has made to revitalize downtown as part of her roadmap to San Francisco's future. Breed's plan includes expanding the city's police force and amending city codes to convert some commercial buildings into residential properties. Breed suggested recently tearing down abandoned retail space, including the San Francisco Center. But while a flood of stores left San Francisco in recent years, the tide may be turning. So we'll see. I really hope that that's the case. What I'll be looking for is if the homeless move back and take over those areas they once occupied. Or is this actually the start of a more permanent solution? Now, according to the Bay Area's Mercury newspaper in an article dated November 17th, titled, "Where Did San Francisco's Homeless Go During Apec?" Not very far. The article stated that essentially they were moved to alleys and pop-up tent camps under freeway overpasses. Basically anywhere as long as they were nowhere near the summit locations. Now, if that article is true, then nothing has changed, and that is a shame. Progressive policies, including defund the police, have failed. This is evident because, like I just said, the mayor is increasing the amount of police in the area. However, if soft on crime policies remain in place, nothing's going to change. With something like 30% vacant office buildings in downtown San Francisco, and the city waiting for the population to return and revitalize downtown, you would think the city government would be putting policies in place to clean up that area to incentivize that return. Except that's not happening with policies that seem to condone open-air drug use and allow crime to run rampant. The workforce population is not going to return until something changes in those policies. Okay, that's my take on what we just saw in San Francisco leading up to and during the recent Apec summit. As always, please send your comments and tell me what you think. We got to get this conversation going. We need to figure out this homeless crisis so that hopefully some of these great cities can experience a renewal. All right, that's it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll close out like I always do. If you're in the military, police departments, fire departments, or first responders, if that's you out there, thank you very much for your service. Stay safe. This is the Rain Man. Talk to you soon. Thanks for watching Rain Man's Take, observations on the world we live in. If you like the content, don't forget to hit the subscribe button below. You can also follow Rain Man's Take on Instagram at Rain Man's Take. Also, check out our website at www.rainmanstakepodcast.com and send your comments to rainmanstake@gmail.com. Keep an eye out for future podcasts, which will be coming out every Thursday at 5 p.m. West Coast time.